What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Am I as studly as the statue of David or what?
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, I encourage you to go to DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and find out if I can be your DJ. Entertain at your event. Yeah, I like events. I know it's wedding season, but I do the corporate stuff too, and I like the karaoke jams. I like the family-friendly stuff, too, for sure. Yes, it's good to bring people together, having some fun, singing some songs. Yeah, let's do it. Let's dance. All right, party people. On the program today, I have, a beauty queen. It's Leah K Hadder. I've known this young lady for quite some time now. We did a pageant years ago over at the Southridge Village in Conway, Arkansas, or just in the south of Conway, between here and Mayflower. And she was one of the judges, and I was the MC, and it was just so much fun being a part of that show. We had some seniors competing in a competition. So and ever since then, I've followed her on her social media and kept in touch with her, and I'm just stoked. I get to speak to Leah K Hadder. So yeah. Let's do that. Also, coming up this week, my shows. I have one show this week. It's the regular Friday night dance party karaoke jam over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Friday night. They have a full bar, and let's see, they have a kitchen is wide open. Pizza, burgers, wings. Try the wings. I like the wings a lot. And then they have the pool tournament. That's on Friday nights over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Come out and play. It starts at 8 o'clock and it goes till just about 2 a.m., way past my bedtime. But I enjoy it. Friday nights at the Rab. Come on out. All right. That's it for that spiel. Let's get into it with Leah K Hadder. I'm so excited. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this. Let's find out more about Leah K Hadder. Calling Leah K Hadder now.
Hello.
Leah K Hadder, please.
This is Leah K Hadder speaking. How are you, Dan?
Leah K Hadder. Yes, I've got her. Yes, she's on the What Makes You Famous podcast. I'm so excited.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to be able to talk to you.
Groovy. Well, let's see. How long has it been since we worked together judging the, what was it called? I can't remember even the name, the title that the seniors were holding.
I know it was a very creative pageant, but it was actually a pageant hosted at a nursing home, and I believe that you were the MC, and I was one of the celebrity judges, and we were able to talk and instantly connected, and then, of course, we became really good friends. So, yeah, it's definitely been a minute, Dan. I think that was like back in 2011.
It was back in 2011. And were you living in Arkansas at the time?
Yes, I was. I was living in Central Arkansas at the time.
And what was the title that you were holding, being a celebrity judge back then, Leah K Hadder?
Well, I thought I was a celebrity judge back then. But yes, I was the reigning Miss Arkansas State University, Heber Springs.
And what prestige does that title come with?
Absolutely. Well, it was such a blast holding that particular title because I was able to travel around the state of Arkansas and promoting Arkansas State University Heber Springs and the campus of ASU Heber. And so I made different appearances, of course, judging pageants and helping out with community service projects and talking about the importance of higher education and attending college, and of course bragging about the Arkansas State University Heber Springs campus. And then I was also able to ride in parades and make appearances at different festivals, and so just a little bit of everything.
Now, do you remember what year that was, Leah K Hadder?
Sure. I believe that reign was from 2010 to 2011.
Okay, so that was about the time that we were involved in that fine senior beauty pageant.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Do you, I can't remember who the judges were. Was one of them
Sure,
maybe a sheriff?
There was one of my really good friends. We still stay in touch. Her name is Tina, and she is now Mrs. Tina White. She was the reigning Mrs. Arkansas United States. And then the other judge was Alicia, and she was the former Miss University of Central Arkansas. And so you got to hang out with quite the group of judges that day, Dan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Beauty queens all around. And the seniors weren't half bad either. They were so great. They really, really were.
They were adorable. It was
sure.
really tough judging a winner. It was. And the three of us, we were just sitting there trying to tabulate the scores. And, it was almost like we were stressing out and pulling our hair out because we were thinking, how are we supposed to pick a winner? They're all so adorable. And, they put on their outfits. And I believe they had some sort of like little onstage question. And they had their hair and makeup done. And so it was just a blast. It was a really neat experience.
Oh, beside the fact that seniors are adorable anyway, especially when you see older couples holding hands and walking down the street or walking through the grocery store. Oh my goodness, I get a little tear in my eye.
I know, aren't they sweet?
One day that'll be me. One day. Oh.
It will, Dan. It will.
Oh yes, it will be. So, all right, you've mentioned all these different titles. Are these on the same circuit? Because I know I've talked to beauty queens before. I talked to Marsha Trammell, and I know you're familiar with her as well on this podcast.
Yes, we're buddies, and I'm also one of her sponsors.
Okay, and I know she's doing something that she needs sponsorship for as well. So, yeah, are you on the same circuit? Are there different circuits? And all three of the judges that you mentioned, were you all on the same circuit of beauty pageantry?
So, sure. We were actually reigning title holders from different systems. The Miss Arkansas State University Heber Springs pageant is its own independent beauty pageant, and I actually think it's discontinued since then. So I was one of the lucky ones who was able to hold a title in that. But Mrs. Arkansas United States is actually part of the Mrs. United States system, which is a national system that was created for married women to be able to compete on a national level. And whoever wins the national title actually gives up their state title and then is crowned Mrs. United States. And so she travels around the U.S. and she could travel internationally representing the Mrs. United States system. So that was what Tina was competing for. And then Alicia, her reign was, of course, Miss University of Central Arkansas. And with that particular title, whoever wins the title of Miss University of Central Arkansas, or you've heard of Miss Arkansas State University, or Miss University of Arkansas, etc., those particular titles will actually go on to compete for the title of the Miss Arkansas, which is a state preliminary competition to Miss America. So Miss Arkansas was actually crowned just a few days ago, and so that young lady will be able to travel to the Miss America pageant and then attempt for the Miss America title. So there are so many different systems out there. I know sometimes it can kind of seem overwhelming or people can get confused. But yeah, there are all sorts of systems out there. Some systems have a state pageant, some just have a local pageant, others have a national, some have international. So there are different levels. And then also some pageants actually have their own platform or some sort of charity that they sponsor.
Leah K Hadder, you've given me so much to unpack here. So much information just came at me. And yes, you're right. It can be overwhelming. It indeed can be. So tell me, all right, you had a pageant that was enclosed in one place in the University of Arkansas in Heber Springs. Is that correct?
Dan, no. It's not a part of the University of Arkansas system.
Oh, sorry.
It's Arkansas State University. Yes.
Arkansas
Let's not
State
confuse
University.
the ASU system versus the U of A. Yes,
That is correct. Red Wolves, right? Is that part of
Go
that?
Red Wolves.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what was funny is when I first moved here from Miami, I was the Central Arkansas voice of the Red Wolves. I got to do the games out of 88.5. So yes, I had a bunch of people recorded saying "Hello, Red Wolves," or "You're listening to the Red Wolves," and then I would have them howl. Ow! So I played them on the radio quite a bit. Yeah, that was fun. That was 2009, and that was a good time. So, all right. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I remember when I was a student at Arkansas State University Heber before transferring to ASU Jonesboro, and I actually had some folders that still had the ASU Indian logo on it. And so it was kind of interesting that I was starting out in the ASU system as an Indian, and then I had to transfer over to claiming I was a Red Wolf.
All right.
So
Tell me about that switch.
That was kind of a change for me, too.
I know that switch held its own, controversies, to put it tightly. Tell me what you know of that. How was that doing the switch over from Indians to Red Wolves?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I do know that there were some alumni who were not very pleased with the transitioning, going from one mascot to the other, but we have to respect the law and we have to respect other people. And so what I think was so unique about the situation is instead of fighting it, I think ASU had a very positive view of the transition. And so what they did allow was Arkansas State University was actually able to pick a mascot that represented an animal that is endangered within the state of Arkansas. So yes, the mascot change was kind of tough, but yet I do think it was a very unique opportunity for the decision to be made to actually pick something that truly does represent Arkansas, and it actually does represent an animal from the state of Arkansas. And personally, I really like the Red Wolf mascot. I like what they've done with it. I like how they have, I believe the mascot's name is Howl. They also have a female wolf that runs around the football games, and her name is Scarlet, I believe, something like that. And so they've tried to put a fun twist to it, but then also it does raise awareness to just be involved in the fact of the platform that the Red Wolves need to be taken care of within the state of Arkansas, as well as also promoting Arkansas State University itself. And so I think it's unique, and I still like the colors, black, red, and white.
Oh, absolutely, Leah K Hadder. And since I am relatively a newcomer to the state of Arkansas, and I never saw the mascot for the Indians. And okay, over the last few weeks, I've been struggling with the terms PC and racist. You know, is being PC racist? But that's time for a whole nother podcast. We're hanging with Leah K Hadder, beauty queen, and
yes. Well, I'm actually not originally from Arkansas. I grew up in the state of Alabama, and I was actually born in Alabama. So in 2008, I actually moved from Alabama to Central Arkansas. So I had always grown up going to the Auburn University football games, and then I'd also grown up with the Auburn University Tigers versus the Crimson Tide. And so for me to go from seeing tigers and elephants to pigs everywhere, it was quite the shock. So like you, I kind of had to adjust to a lot of different things when I moved into Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had an NFL team. I'm a Dolph fan. But really, I haven't really been into sports. I watched the big games, the Super Bowl and things of the like, the World Series. I know the Miami Marlins, I guess now they're Florida Marlins. They were in the World Series in their first year, and that was kind of exciting. And I know my Dolphins had a perfect season back in 1972, and they really haven't done much since. So, but yes, I'm happy to be here in the state of Arkansas. And you're from Alabama. Okay, so how was it growing up in Alabama?
So it was really interesting. I had quite the Mayberry childhood. I grew up in the smaller town of Selma, which is located right outside of Montgomery. So there was a lot of history, and there's a lot of appreciation for the culture and, of course, the history of Selma due to the civil rights movement. Selma actually played a huge role in the civil rights as well as within the Civil War. And so it was always interesting seeing a lot of the festivals and the different celebrations related to civil rights, as well as a young child being able to attend. They actually reenact the Battle of Selma. I still think they do just about every year, and they mention it as well. So it's a very historical town. It has wonderful people. I really enjoyed growing up there. And then when I turned 18, I said, I want to venture out. I want to go see things. I want to go do things. I want to experience what life is like in other states. And so that's why I made the decision to transfer from Alabama and then plant myself in Arkansas for about 10 years.
Absolutely, Leah K Hadder. That is, Selma is a very historical town. As soon as you said that you were from Selma, Alabama, I said, "Whoa, okay, that's a very pivotal town in civil rights and the like." How was it growing up there? Was it very polarizing? Were people just getting along in harmony, singing "Kumbaya"? Was it a good time, or how was Selma? And how big is that town?
Honestly, I don't know. I think when I lived there, there were probably about 27,000 to 30,000. The numbers kind of have an ebb and flow,
Sure.
So I'm not quite sure how many people are there now. But growing up there, honestly, I had a really positive experience. I had friends from different backgrounds, of different cultures, from different races, from different ethnicities, different religions. And so I always had more of an eclectic background. I was able to hang out with everyone, learn from everyone, go to school with everyone. So honestly, I think it depends on who you ask. But bottom line, they're just good-hearted people. They're trying to raise their children the best they can. A lot of the parents within the town are very respectful of each other, and they just want to build a good life for themselves and for the community and for their children. So honestly, I just think each town has positives and negatives, and it is what you make it.
I find that too, Leah K Hadder. If you talk to people, they pretty much want the same things. They want their children to be happy, and they want roofs over their head and a little money in their pockets. Just people go at it in different ways. So happily, I have this podcast, What Makes You Famous, so I can chit chat with people, pick people's brains, learn some things, actually talk to people like Leah K Hadder, beauty queen.
Of course,
now,
beauty queen. Yes,
in Alabama. Were you always a pageant girl, or what was the first pageant that you went to?
Well, I would say that I was sort of a pageant girl, but Dan, I was just one of those girls where I actually call myself the girl next door, because a lot of people don't realize that I wasn't always a girly girl. I wasn't always prissy. I did not always compete in pageants. I did not start competing in pageants until I was about 12 years old. I knew that pageants existed, but I had no idea how they operated. And I remember I was in the 6th grade, and I had a group of buddies come up to me, and they said, "Hey, Leah, our school is hosting their traditional beauty pageant." And the school that I went to, they hosted a pageant. We had pre-K all the way through 12th grade, and it was just your traditional pageant where you walked across the stage, whatever, waved at the judges, walked off. You came in for group comparative judging, walked off. So it was basically it was truly a beauty pageant based on your looks. Well, they came up to me and they said, "Hey, Leah, you should participate in our middle school beauty pageant." I'm thinking, okay, first of all, I really don't know what a pageant is. I mean, I'm aware that they exist. I don't really know what it is. I don't know how to walk. I don't know what I'm supposed to wear. And, I like putting on makeup, but there's this whole technique. So they said, "Oh, that's fine. Everybody's kind of lost their first pageant. You should just go ahead and do it anyway." So I said, okay. So I remember bringing the form home. And my parents, they were like me. I mean, they had known people in pageants. They grew up kind of around towns, where pageants were hosted. And both of my parents went to high schools where I do believe they held a pageant, et cetera. But my mom was like, "Okay, you want to do this pageant, so you got to get you ready." And she said, "All right, we actually have a list of things to do, because you need to get your hair and makeup done. You need a dress." And I'm looking at her like, "What are you talking about? I need a dress." She said, "Well, it's a formal pageant. You need a dress. Yeah. You need shoes." And I'm looking at her like, what do you mean I need shoes? Dan, I was completely lost. But, thankfully I had some mentoring and some coaching. And there was actually a young lady at my church at the time whose daughter had competed in pageants, and then she had competed in high school. And she said, if you need any help with your walk or if you need assistance with modeling, I'd be more than happy to help you. So between, my mom helping me get signed up and get my wardrobe, and between her coaching me, I was able to successfully compete in my first pageant, but I did not place. And like any other little preteen girl, I was so upset that I actually went backstage, and the queen who was actually giving up her title that night, the outgoing queen, actually held me as I cried.
Oh.
And I know. And she said, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And you did such a great job. And I'm so proud of you. And, and I was just boo-hooing. And, I was so angry. I said, I never want to do this again. I don't want, they gave everybody a participant trophy. And I was like, I don't even want this trophy. I just want to go home. So anyway, I went home and I attempted my second pageant, and that was actually Miss Preteen Alabama America, I think is what it was. So basically, it was like a tiny little Miss America pageant, but for Alabama girls. And so decided to do a state level pageant. And so we went ahead and got my wardrobe ready, talked about an on-stage introduction, things like that. And there was another word that I had never heard of before. And my mom said, Leah, we've got your wardrobe ready. We've got your talent ready. We've got to do this, got to do this. You need a platform.
Oh.
I was like, what the heck is a platform?
You mean like a board to stand on?
Yeah, I was like, what is a is that like a type of shoe still? What do you mean platform? And she said, well, a platform, is a special cause or a charity that you raise money for, or some type of story that you could tell to raise awareness for a particular mission, etc. So she's trying to explain to me what a platform is. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this or I can do this. And so anyway, we had to work on what a platform was and platform development. And yada, yada, yada. And people who know me now are probably like, what do you mean, Leah, you didn't know what a platform was? You got all these state titles and you've done this and that, but I didn't. So anyway, we go to the state level pageant. I messed up on my onstage introduction. I actually did a ballet dance for my talent, but jumped around the place and actually hurt my foot. And then totally bombed my interview, had no idea what I was doing. But anyway, it was a really fun experience at the state level, and I was able to come home with one trophy, which is not a participant trophy. But there were four of us whose scores were all alike, and so they just gave all four of us the trophy. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll take it. I think it was something like outstanding 12-year-old. I was like, sure, I'll take this trophy home.
Okay.
So anyway, later on, I started practicing my walk a lot more, started asking a lot of questions. I began networking with a lot of other title holders or, people who had participated in pageants. And for the next 4 years, I kept competing in that particular high school pageant. And traditionally, we had between 28 to 30 to 31 girls participate. And I started hitting top 10 every year. And they had added interview. And so the year that was right after I didn't place, I placed top 10. The next year, they had added, like I said, the interview portion. I made top 10. And then the next year, I started making top 10. And so that was the moment I realized, okay, something's going on. Like, either I'm getting better, the judges are getting dumber, something. Oh, no. Something's clicking here. So anyway, it became a little more fun when I started figuring out, I'm capable of doing this and whatever I'm doing is working. And so that kind of got me with, they call it the pageant bug. I don't know if your other beauty queens have talked about it, but the pageant bug is something that kind of, it nips you or it bites you, and then you find yourself participating. And so after competing throughout high school, and placing within that particular pageant, actually came to my junior year. And I actually had one brief downfall. Okay. I told my friend I was going to participate in a preliminary for Miss Alabama's Outstanding Teen, which is like a Miss America program, but for, like I said, Bama girls. And whoever wins Miss Alabama's Outstanding Teen goes to Miss America's Outstanding Teen to compete for that title. And so I remember being so excited. I said, this is the first pageant that I'm going to participate in this particular system, and I really feel confident about it. I know I can do a great job. And she turned and she looked at me and she laughed in my face and she said, you're not going to win, right?
Oh.
And I'm thinking, this is my friend. This is somebody who's supposed to support me. And she said, well, you're not going to win because you're ugly.
Oh, no.
And like,
oh, no, she didn't.
I know, right? Hold up. Wait a minute.
Yeah, this is your pal.
Who are you talking to? No, but it really hurt me.
It would. From a friend, it hurts even more, for sure.
Yes. And it really, really hurt me. And so anyway, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, cheerlead myself. I'll just support myself. So her comment hurt me so badly that I started feeling really insecure. And I actually went to participate in that pageant, didn't place, did a terrible job, and then later came home crying. And I said, okay, I'm done with the whole pageant thing for right now. And I actually didn't start competing until later. When I was in Arkansas, still hadn't won a title. So, Dan, I had been competing since I was 12.
Yeah.
I did not win my first title until college. So I tell people I'm definitely the underdog. I'm the face of perseverance. But it's just a story that I tell folks now. I just say, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have something you want to accomplish, go for it. And it doesn't matter if it takes you days, weeks, months, or years. I had to work really hard to get where I am now. But I'm so glad that, even though I took a break, I didn't give up. And so one of my favorite quotes of all time is, even if you fall flat on your face, you're still moving forward. And so that's what I tell people now. Even if you fall flat on your face, just get up and keep going. And Dan, honestly, if I had listened to her, I wouldn't have appeared on TV and been in newspapers, and I wouldn't have been listed as a celebrity judge in Arkansas. I wouldn't have been able to participate in fashion shows and do everything that I've been able to do if I had let that one person bring me down. So that's kind of my pageant genesis story, I guess, of actually how I got started. But after, things just started kind of taking a turn, and so I was able to become really successful competing in Arkansas.
That's true, Leah K Hadder. I mean, you let that girl take a little office space, apartment in your head, in that
Yes.
that moment, and it was a learning experience. And now,
Yes.
let's take it back to when you were 12, and your mom is coaching you. How did your mom get all this advice and get the skills to teach you how to be a pageant girl?
So absolutely. She had actually worked in human resources for several years. And so she is an excellent coach. She's an excellent mentor, and she has fantastic interview skills. And so not only were we able to kind of ask around to get some advice on how to do hair and makeup and wardrobe, et cetera, but she was also able to sit down and help coach me through the interview process. And so I owe, a lot of credit to her for helping me be able to not only interview, but learn how to speak in front of people, learn how to speak to an audience, learn how to properly answer an onstage question, and also be able to, you have to fill out, the trick to pageants too is a lot of people don't realize that the judges actually look through your paperwork as well. And so not only do you need to have a well-developed platform sheet, but they also look through your application, and they look through your different activities and things like that. There's a certain way to word it. People actually pay coaches to look over their paperwork and their bio sheets and their platform sheets, etc. So she was able to look through my paperwork as well. And so all in all, I was actually blessed with a mother who was able to help teach me and work with me with those particular skills. But then also, she was just like me. She just asked around, asked different questions, asked, different pageant moms. And she was also able to find a formal dress shop in order to get the proper wardrobe attire. And so she and I, we just worked as a team.
Now,
we were able to work together and get things accomplished.
Now, Leah K Hadder, at 12 years old in sixth grade, especially for a girl, it's a very awkward time in your life, and
yes.
You just lost this pageant and didn't place. And how did you get the courage to go on to another pageant? Who was the one that inspired you who gave you that Jiminy Cricket speech to get you up and over and get to the next pageant?
Sure. It actually came from a few people. Of course, my parents were really supportive, and they said, Leah, if this is something you want to do, don't get discouraged. Just try the next one. There's always the next pageant. think about things you could have done better. We can try different things. We can try different wardrobe. We can compete with a different set of judges and, see what we can do to get you where you want to go. Also had some other really supportive friends who just told me, they said, Leah, this is something you seem to really enjoy. So why don't you just go ahead and keep competing? And then I think too, Dan, I just talk to myself. Sometimes you have to give yourself a pep talk and say, you know what, that was the first time you did something. You fell apart, but let's get back up and keep going. And I actually found a lot of joy just in the challenge of sharpening my skills and making sure that I was a little more prepared the next year. And then, of course, whenever I started placing, that's when the pageant bug hit me of, okay, this is something I really could do. I should go for it. Another thing that kind of inspired me to keep going with pageants is, like I said, I just think of myself as the girl next door. I really like different ideas or different areas of participation, such as, music and academics. And I liked sports, but I wasn't the best at sports. I ran track. I was a cheerleader and different things like that. I love music. I play the piano just a little bit, and I love to sing. I love to paint as well. A lot of people don't know that. Like I said, I love academics, so I love schools, scholars bowls, etc. But I think another thing that kind of really pepped me up was I have finally found my niche. And people kept talking about, God gives us different skills and different abilities, and he gives you different interests. And there must be something here, on this earth that you enjoy doing. And so find whatever you enjoy doing and then just go after it 100%. And there's actually the verse in the Bible that says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it well. Some translations say do it with all your might. And I just found my niche and I stayed in it and I kept moving forward. And then, of course, later on, I'm on TV and people are requesting me to come talk to their schools or at their pageants or, whatever it is. And so, honestly, I found my niche and I ran with it.
Leah K Hadder, you talk about the pageant bug, and you have a passion for pageantry, and I believe the pageant bug is another word for having the passion for whatever you do. And yes, the way you talk about it, the way you talk about being in pageants, and it sounds like that the pageants that were not strictly judged on beauty, but the ones where they actually asked you questions and they gave you, other things to do, that seems like the ones that you really enjoyed the most, instead of being judged solely by your beauty, because that's subjective, I think. What do you think, Leah K Hadder?
I do. And when I encourage others, see, I have a coaching business. I am considered a pageant consultant. I'm a trained event hostess. I'm a speaker. Of course, I've had several titles. I have boxes and boxes of pageant trophies in my garage. I am known as the pageant girl. But I always encourage others, especially young women who want to try competing, look for a specific pageant or a pageant system that requires for you to have a platform. Because I love how there are so many title holders out there who truly want to inspire others and they want to give back to their communities, and they want to be more than just a pretty face. And so that's truly what I encourage others to do, is go find a pageant that requires you to have a platform, and also go and pursue a pageant that requires some aspect of community service or giving back. And because I think so many people don't realize that pageants are a lot of work. They're a lot of, they take a lot of time. You have to be very committed to your particular title. Even with the Miss America and Miss USA systems, whoever wins Miss America, she has to travel around the whole U.S. Making different appearances and representing different causes. And she, she visits children in schools and she goes to hospitals. She even travels across seas to talk to the troops and et cetera. So she does so much. She's not allowed to just sit there with a crown on her head and have her photos taken. Miss USA is the same way. And so honestly, in my opinion, find a pageant system that requires you to give back, because too, one of the best aspects of whenever I was competing was giving back. It was raising money for breast cancer awareness, Susan G. Komen in Arkansas. Another one of my most favorite appearances was being able to judge for a charity pageant that raised money for the Relay for Life system that's in Arkansas right now. Another fun aspect of being able to give back to the community was I actually made an appearance at the Toad Suck Days Festival, which is hosted in Conway, Arkansas. And I was able to talk to little girls and encourage them to pursue their dreams and passions and be able to take pictures with them. And in return, they thought I was some big deal. They thought I was a princess. But even though they thought I was a princess, you know, they listened to what I had to say. And so I was able to actually help give advice. And so, yes, definitely pursue a pageant or a pageant system that does require you to give back to the community, but then also encourages you to be more than just a pretty face. And then there's actually, I believe, a former Miss South Carolina where that's her slogan, and she still says it every now and then, you know, I'm a force, not a face.
Well, you are a big deal, Leah K Hadder. Yeah. You are. Okay. You're very inspirational and especially to young girls. And yes, and you're not just a pretty face, although you are a pretty face. If you were the girl next door, yes, I probably would have had a crush on you. So, being as a beauty queen, the right thing, the right title for you, or, you know, is that a fun title, or, you know, what would you consider yourself and put in the small box?
So I'm just me. I'm truly just me. I don't mind the title beauty queen. When I was in college, I had won so many titles that they called me Queenie.
Yes. I would own that. I would definitely own that.
Yes, definitely. They did. They called me Queenie, or they would call me Beauty Queen. What's funny, too, related to titles as well, is that my hairstylist actually was doing someone's hair at the hairstylist I use in Conway. She was doing someone's hair. And what was funny was there was actually a group of girls who walked in. And I think Kim had like a picture of me, or one of the girls had known that she was my cosmetologist at the time. And she pointed to Kim and she said, "Oh, you do that pageant girl's hair." And so I was actually nicknamed like that pageant girl. And so I was Queenie, I was Beauty Queen, I was that pageant girl. But honestly, I'm just Leah, or I have a double name, so Leah Catherine. And, you know, growing up, related to pageants, not really related to pageants, my mom actually told me, she said, you have one job, and your job is to be the best Leah Catherine Hadder that you can possibly be. And so honestly, I think, you know, that's just my number one goal. That's my number one label, is I'm the best Leah Catherine Hadder that I can possibly be, you know, and that's something that I strive to do every day. So yeah, definitely. But in college it was Queenie. Definitely.
Now, all through this podcast, I've been calling you Leah K Hadder. Now you have me doing a tongue twister, Leah Catherine Hadder. So
sure,
no problem.
Leah Catherine. You can call me Leah, though.
Nope, I'm calling you Leah Catherine Hadder. So that way everybody knows it's jammed in their heads as they're listening to this podcast. All right.
Yes, so, Leah Catherine Hadder.
Owning the beauty queen. Okay. And yes, having platforms in their beauty pageants. Or just pageants, I suppose. They're not necessarily beauty pageants, but what's your view on the bikinis and swimsuit part of the show? I guess. What do you think?
Man, you're gonna make me sweat.
Well, you know, I had to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, you gotta dig a little bit.
I need to know.
You throwing a curveball? Okay, sure. My personal experience with competing, I actually competed at the Arkansas State pageant just a few years ago. I believe that was also like in 2011. And I actually wore a one piece on stage. Okay. I was not comfortable personally with wearing a swimsuit because I did not feel like me wearing a swimsuit would be related to, like, if I had one, it was not related to the rain. Right. Not once. As Miss Arkansas, I was actually Miss Arkansas Diamond State 2017, which is a state title in Arkansas. Not once as Miss Arkansas Diamond State did I appear in a swimsuit again.
So you didn't have to head for the pool party?
No, I never went to a pool party. I did not wear a swimsuit at the state capitol. I did not wear it raising money for breast cancer awareness. I did not wear it judging pageants. And so in my personal opinion, for me and for me competing, and hopefully I'll be able to compete in the future, I don't see the swimsuit necessarily being relevant to the rain. I feel like there are other ways to evaluate fitness and physique. And so personally for me, I feel like the swimsuit is irrelevant. I understand that in the Miss America system, a lot of young women really enjoyed the swimsuit portion or the swimsuit competition. A lot of them wore the typical two-piece. I have seen some state title holders in the Miss America system wear the one-piece. And I think a lot of the upset from the swimsuit controversy was that, if you did win the swimsuit competition, you are given scholarship money. And so some young ladies, whether it was at the state level or the local levels or even at the national level, they actually won scholarships from competing in the swimsuit portion. And so I can see why those contestants would have been so upset with the change. I also think, Dan, whether they took out, the swimsuit portion in a pageant, whether your pageant director comes up and says, we're going to take out interview or we're going to take out on stage, no matter what you change or no matter what you add, people are always going to fuss. And that's just a fact of life.
I suspect so, Leah Catherine Hadder.
Yes.
But
so thank you for my TED Talk.
No,
thank you for coming to my TED Talk, as some people say. That's my TED Talk. That's my testimony.
No, that's super. And I want you to be comfortable. I don't want, a girl or a guy, whatever kind of pageant it is, it's tough to be judged because isn't that biblical? And I know you're a religious person. Is that my understanding? Is that right?
Yes, I'm Christian.
So how it's hard to judge people if the Bible clearly states, "Judge not." It's one that you have to struggle with, I think, because we get judged on the daily basis at our jobs,
yes.
In all respects. So I don't know about the judgment. You've been judged your whole life, and it's a part of your person. Really?
Yes, and strictly related to just beauty pageants in general. Like I said, you are judged all throughout the competition, and some competitions are just one day, others are 2 days. I've known some competitions to be 3 days of competition, but then you stay there for the entire week and you participate in different activities. I can see how the interview portion would be relevant to, how the queen is going to do throughout her reign. I can see how an onstage question can be important. I can see how walking gracefully across the stage is related to how she's going to act and behave in public. But like I said, honestly, in my personal opinion, there are other ways to judge a physique. And I just don't see her parading around in a swimsuit to be relevant to the overall reign later on. It's just not relevant. And also, you brought up a good point about being judged and being looked at constantly. It was hard for me because, I have competed in swimsuits, but then I've also been the one to sit back in the judge's chair and judge these different contestants in swimsuits. And Dan, I believe that each contestant, we're all made in his image and we all are special. We are all unique, but we also have different physiques. And, what you consider a healthy body may be different from my opinion of what I think is a healthy body. And so it was also very hard for me to judge them solely based on their physique in a swimsuit, because I think there's so much more to a contestant than how cute she looks in a swimsuit.
Very subjective. Very subjective. All right, switching gears. What was?
Sure.
Let's go with the questions.
Okay.
I did talk to Marcia Trammell, and
Yes.
she said her hardest question, and they threw her a curveball. Do you think NFL players are paid too much?
Oh, Lord. Okay.
What was
Dan,
your hardest question?
Honestly, I think it just depends on who you talk to. Based on performance with them actually playing in the football game.
Oh, you're actually going to answer that question.
Honestly, I mean, I do think that they are paid a significant amount of money. But as long as they are playing the game in an ethical manner, in an ethical fashion, I am not opposed to paying them several thousands to millions of dollars. Now, I will also say that I have read some news articles and different things from different players' social medias about how they have been giving back to their communities. And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of those players, yes, they're paid millions, but then they also give it back to a lot of charities and different church functions, etc. So I think it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, yes, they're paid a lot, but then they also give back a lot. But honestly, if I was able to become a quarterback for some NFL team, I would like being paid a lot of money. So, that's just me.
Leah K Hadder, I didn't expect you to answer that question. I just gave that as an example, and you went for it. Oh, my goodness.
Honestly, if you were in their shoes, you'd probably enjoy getting paid a lot, too. So, I mean, honestly, bottom line, as long as they're performing their jobs to the best of their ability, sure, give them a lot of money. That's what I learned in business school anyway. I have a business degree. So,
good.
Bottom line, if they're doing their job, if they're a top performer, sure, give them a lot of money.
I mean, they're getting their skulls beat in for our pleasure, and I don't know if that's worth any amount of money for me, but that's a whole nother story. There's a reason I don't play in the NFL, or I used to box. It was the first time I got knocked out. No, I'm done. That's it. I'm gonna go take up running now. Thanks.
Yes.
It's a little less wear and tear on the head. But okay, so you answered that question, Leah K Hadder. What I meant to ask was what was your hardest question that you had to answer, and when was that?
Oh goodness, I actually have two questions.
Hit me.
Where it really caught me off guard because I was competing at a state level pageant, and they had told us, they said, they're not allowed to ask you anything related to your religion or politics. And so I thought, okay, great, I got this pageant in the bag. Dan, I walked in there and I sat down. One of those judges, he looked at me in the face and he said, "So, do you agree or disagree with abortion?" I had to stop and catch my breath for a minute, Dan. I about had a heart attack right there in the chair.
To me.
I
would have passed out. I would have just
and usually I personally, I think everyone has their opinion. I think it's a very sensitive subject.
Yes.
You have to be very careful about asking that type of question, but he did. He said, "So are you for or against abortion?"
Very polarizing question.
And Dan, I was like maybe 21, 22. So, I mean, I wasn't 13, but, I was still younger. I was in college. And, to sit there and be stared at by a panel of judges, and then have one just throw that in my face, that was very challenging for me. So I think that was the number one most challenging question was, are you for or against abortion?
Do you remember how you answered it? Because thinking about it right now, I think I have an answer in my head, but how did you answer that?
I mean, yes, I have an answer. I'm not going to repeat my answer.
Okay.
But you had asked me, what was your toughest question?
That was
and
a
I
hard
actually
one.
had, like I said, I have two. That was a tough question for me. I think that's a tough question for anyone.
This is I've had a couple of seconds to think about it. And I said, I'm just one person. There was a panel of 9 Supreme Court justices that had to devise an answer to that. So I am just one person. I leave it to the Supreme Court to handle that.
And then it was quite a curveball too. I mean, you might as well just throw, a football in my face or something,
Yes,
after
correct.
being told they're not allowed to ask you anything, religious or political. And then you go and you sit down, are you for or against abortion? I'm like, oh gosh, how do I answer this?
All right.
Whether participating in pageant or not, that's a tough one. The other one, it was something about a law that was being passed in the state of Arkansas at the time. And the way he worded it was, I can't remember what the exact law was, but let's just say the so-and-so law is being passed right now in the House for the state of Arkansas. And, the Republicans are pushing this forward and making the efforts to do this, and this with it. What's your whole opinion about it?
And how old were you then? Were you a little older at least?
I don't know. It was actually the same interview.
Oh,
so
my.
Yes. So and the way that the judge was asking it, I don't think he was necessarily interested in the law that was being passed or like my opinion. I think he was just kind of bashing the Republican Party. I really do. Because it was just the way he said it. What's your opinion about what these Republicans are doing?
I suspect they have their agenda as well. That they have this public forum that they can do it in.
So I'm like, you just asked me about abortion, and then now you're asking me about a law that I'm really not aware of because technically it hasn't passed, and you're, kind of pushing, for me. It was almost like he was encouraging me to bash this certain political party. And so I tried to kind of avoid those questions in general. But yes, in a nutshell, those are the two hardest related to abortion and then political parties pushing a certain agenda. So yes, those are very challenging.
Very challenging. Okay, so what is the most fun thing about being a beauty queen, Leah Catherine Hadder?
Sure. Well, of course, it's wearing the big old crown on your head.
That's right.
What gets better? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'd wear a crown. Oh, yeah. I'd parade all through my parties.
Oh, you would rock the crown. Yes. Honestly, I just really enjoyed the networking. I made so many wonderful friends when I was competing. And one of my best friends I actually made, her name is Timmy Tony. And she just placed first runner-up to Mrs. Arkansas America. And so I really enjoyed the bond that we were able to share. But also in general, it was A, being able to network, B, I was able to promote my specific platform all throughout the state of Arkansas. And I loved being able to travel as well. And so I think those are the top three, just making friendships, promoting your platform, and then also being able to travel and visit different towns that I'd never been before, being able to meet different people. And then, of course, nothing gets better than being able to have your photo made with people who think you're like a rock star, you're a celebrity, or being able to, like I said, talk to little children, encourage them to follow their dreams and et cetera. So, I mean, there are a lot of things I really enjoyed about being a title holder.
Oh, yeah, Leah Catherine Hadder, you are a rock star indeed. You're my hero, to be sure. Now, oh my goodness, I know I had a question in my head. I know I had something I was thinking about, but it just fell right out of my head because you're a hero. I buttered your bread, and I enjoyed that, because you have been, I've seen you in pictures through the years. Oh, okay. We didn't go in detail. What is your platform?
Okay, sure. My platform is #Healthy is the New Hot, promoting health, fitness, and positive self-esteem for young ladies. And it was kind of interesting how that came about. Right after I graduated with my master's degree, I was actually about 30 pounds overweight. I did not feel good about myself. I was not able to complete different tasks. And when I looked in the mirror, I was just not happy with who I saw. So I knew that I had to change my lifestyle, had to change my eating habits. And Dan, what was so funny was that, like I said, I was just disgusted with myself in general, and I knew that something needed to change. And so I was living in Conway at the time, and I said, you know what, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start paying attention to what I eat, and then I'm going to start YouTubing and researching different ways of becoming a healthier person. And I started taking some photos of my progress, and you can actually still see some of those photos if you type in #Healthy is the New Hot on Instagram. I started kind of posting my weight loss journey, and lo and behold, it was successful because I was able to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20, 25, etc., until I did reach losing almost 30 pounds. But people started sending me these messages and asking me, what are you doing? What are you eating? Are you using a certain diet? Why did you all of a sudden want to start losing weight? What kind of exercises do you do? Do you walk every day? Do you do this? Do you drink this, etc.? And it was almost like I was turning into this health personality almost, and I never thought of myself as being like this weight loss guru. But I just started kind of giving advice here and there about what I was doing, what was working for me. I was posting these photos with #Healthy is the New Hot, and then it dawned on me I could actually spread my story to help others. And there was something too that also kind of pushed me to develop this platform is I not only was going through my own weight loss journey, but Dan, the whole point of me losing weight and becoming more fit was so that I could become healthier, but then I could also feel better, and I would be able to get things done throughout the day. And I noticed that a lot of the young women around me, they were feeling really insecure because they would look on social media, they would look in magazines, they would look at TV, and they would look at these different pictures. And it seemed like everyone around me who was trying to lose weight or was trying to become more fit, their sole focus was becoming skinny and sexy, or hot and sexy. And so, yes, a part of my platform was working on my physique, dieting, exercising, creating this different lifestyle. But the other side of my platform that I talked about was spreading this awareness that all of these young teenage girls, or even, older girls in their 20s and 30s, et cetera, they're becoming really insecure because they feel like they're not enough, they're not good enough because they don't look a certain way and they don't act a certain way. And so I said, well, why don't we do this? Even just within Central Arkansas, what I can do with my title is I can travel around the state talking about my story and sharing my weight loss journey, but then also encouraging young women to, instead of striving to be hot and sexy, why don't we be healthy and strong? Or, if you would like to pursue becoming skinnier, why don't you pursue being healthy and skinny versus the hot and sexy? And so my platform, kind of had two different sides to it. But overall, I started researching different ways to become healthier. I started looking at easy daily things that we could do to become more fit. And then I would also share my weight loss journey as well. And then I would encourage other young women to believe in themselves. I would tell them that they are enough. They are able to obtain their goals, whether it's in pageants or academia, music, sports, a healthy lifestyle, et cetera. And so I would also kind of share that side of my platform with just believing in yourself, and then, like I said, just striving to encourage others to achieve their goals. So bottom line, hashtag healthy is the new hot, promoting health, fitness, and positive self-esteem.
That just goes to show you never know who you're going to inspire, Leah Catherine Hadder. I just looked up Healthy is the New Hot on Instagram, yes. And I liked one of your pictures from 102 weeks ago. So I am a stalker. I am now a stalker. Yes, that's official.
Yes, you are a creeper. Yes, and you can still look up some of those photos.
102 weeks ago. That's like, what was he doing?
Hashtag Healthy is the New Hot. Yeah, and one of them was when I'd reached losing 15 pounds. And so now, I'm kind of, like I said, at the 30 mark, or it's over the 30 mark. So yeah, it's interesting to see, how proud I was from losing like the 10 pounds and the 15. And then now, I get to look back and think, wow, I made a lot of progress. I was able to do it. And if I was able to make the change, so can you, so can others. Okay.
And I see where I commented on one from 115 weeks ago where you're wearing your Miss Arkansas sash. And you said healthy is the new hot. And I said, hashtag hot.
Yes.
All right, pal.
I think there's one too where I was like posing in the mirror, Dan, and I had like my arm up or something, and you said something like "get a girl" or something like that.
Something like that. You're very inspirational.
Yeah, Dan has always creeped my social media, but you always put like the greatest comments on there.
I did put "get a girl." Wow, you have a good memory. That's from 117 weeks ago, and these are all under the hashtag "healthy is the new hot." Look her up. Stalker. It's Leah Catherine Hadder. She's an inspiration to not just young girls, but even old men, what have you. But yes, not to be creepy or anything, but it's a pleasure to know you, Leah Catherine Hadder.
Thank you. No offense taken. No offense taken. I've enjoyed knowing you, Dan, from all those years ago, many moons ago. Who would have known that we would have become great friends at a nursing home beauty pageant?
That's it. That's where
of all the things.
That's where it all begins. So, do you invite people to get to know you on social media, or do you have places that people can find you if they want to know more about Leah Catherine Hadder?
Sure, absolutely. You can look up my personal social media on Facebook. I'm actually under Leah K Hadder, Hadder. You can also look at my pageant consulting business. It is facebook.com/Sash Pageant Consulting, twitter.com/Leah, LeahHadder. And on Instagram, you can look at my official pageant page at instagram.com/Leah Hadder, LeahHadder.
Well, cool. I'm definitely going to add all those links onto the show notes so people know how to find you and find out more. So
yes, become a part of the Sash family today.
Yeah, I can just rock a sash and a crown and just go chilling out in my parties. You know, if I walk into one of these clubs that I DJ at and just wearing one of your, well, do you have any personalized Leah Catherine Hadder sash pageant consulting sashes that I can wear?
I actually have T-shirts, Dan.
Merchandising.
So I can actually... I can send you your own autograph / personalized Sash Pageant Consulting T-shirt. And I actually have T-shirts. If anyone's interested, just send me a DM. They're just $12, and I can ship it anywhere in the world. I've shipped as far as Alaska. So
do it.
People are really jumping on the bandwagon. I never would have imagined, that I would even have my own pageant consulting business or have my own shirts. I mean, that just blows my mind, that I see people wearing my shirts.
No, you're inspirational. You definitely are, and not just to me, but and the young girls. I encourage you to get to know Leah Catherine Hadder. She, and I know you're multifaceted. You're not only a pageant consultant. You've been to school and you have a business degree. Well, what have you done with that?
Sure, absolutely. Dan, I actually have 3 college degrees.
What?
I know, right? Like
nerd. I mean, smart.
Yes, I have an associate's degree with a business emphasis, liberal arts. I have a bachelor's degree in business management with a marketing minor. And then I also earned my master's degree in public administration. My associate's degree is from, of course, Arkansas State University, Heber Springs, and my bachelor's and master's are from Arkansas State University. That's kind of a funny story as well because, yes, I majored in business and public administration, but Dan, I actually taught for several years. I've taught as a youth pastor, so I've taught Bible studies in a religious sector, but then I was also a 5th through 12th grade English teacher for a few years. I was also a former instructor for the 2015 Arkansas Governor School program, which was held at Hendrix College at the time. So that is a prestigious academic, and it's a rigorously academic, it's like a summer camp for elite students. And then I was also a university recruiter for Arkansas State University BB. And so I've actually worked in education since 2013.
She's a teacher. She's a teacher. Yeah. I love teachers. That's great.
Yes. So, yes, I have a business degree, but, I was one of those folks. I'd actually heard about that, growing up. Some people that go to school for one thing and then they end up working in another field. So I was actually, yes, I was a teacher. I was an educator for several years. But specifically with the business degree, I actually used my management and my marketing education to be able to, of course, create my own business social media and my own website for my pageant consulting business. And so actually train contestants in interview preparation, modeling, talent coaching. I also assist with hair and makeup. I'm also a consultant that's able to kind of point different contestants in the right direction. People call me and say, hey, do you recommend this particular system? Are you able to give me advice with this particular director, et cetera? So I do some consulting work as well as using my marketing education to be able to actually have my own business website for Sash. And then, of course, I'm able to keep up with a lot of my business social media and be able to network. I am also interviewing queens from all over the U.S. right now. And so my goal is to be able to interview pageant queens, at least one from each state of the U.S. And so that's actually one of my goals that I hope to complete within the next 2 years. So that's something really exciting that's going on right now.
That's just another reason to follow Leah Catherine Hadder, because she has beauty queens that come up on videos all over her social media. And it's nice to see them. And they always have something cool to say, you know, and sometimes I have a chance to watch them for a few minutes and just it's nice to see people, and it's nice to talk to people from all over the country and even all over the world. You know, I got the chance to talk to people from Australia and England and Canada on this podcast, and Leah Catherine Hadder, you're talking to people, specifically beauty queens from all over this great country. And have you been outside into the rest of the world?
Not yet. Now, personally, I have traveled outside of the U.S., but with I do the Instagram live chats. That is actually being held, you know, within the U.S. right now, talking to folks within the U.S. But hopefully, that is another one of my future goals too, within the next 5 years, to be able to host different interviews or different chats with queens who are living outside of the United States. So
that is pretty cool that you have a goal to speak to beauty queens from all 50 states, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's getting added to the list, and so I try to host at least 3 Instagram live chats a month. And I've chatted with folks all over the Southeast, up north, and then I've also had several in Alaska and California. And so with each month, I keep adding new states. And so hopefully I'll be able to make the round, and I'll be able to get to know a queen from each state. So, yeah, really exciting. I've got several things cooking.
Now, I know I'm an old man. Do you have an old-fashioned map on the board with pins in it, or is there some kind of an app on your phone that you can, find, make sure that you know which states you've already accomplished?
Well, I'm older too, so
you are not, you whippersnapper.
I actually have a Microsoft Word document where I copied and pasted the entire list of the U.S. states, and I actually have each of the states listed, and I have a dash, and then I'll have the name of the title holder and what system she's from. And after I've completed the interview, I will actually go back and highlight the states that have already been crossed off the list. And so I actually keep up with it with an old-fashioned Microsoft Word document.
Hey, you're good. You're good, I tell you. All right, Leah Catherine Hadder. Any other aspects that you're into? I mean, are you still teaching at all? Or I mean, I know you teach with the pageant consulting. That's definitely a teaching job. And you're a great public speaker. You've held your own on this. I ask you one question, and you have such good, thorough answers. I'm like, man, this is great. I didn't have to do a lot of work at all.
Sure. Actually do some teaching and some coaching on the side. And then, of course, separate from my pageant business, I have actually been working as a life coach. And then I've also worked as a college preparatory coach. So preparing students, not only for life skills, but for college as well. And then, of course, I run my pageant business on the side. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm quite the entrepreneur, but this is something kind of new for me. But I've really enjoyed doing it so far, and I just think it's been a really neat experience.
Now, you sent me a picture in that fabulous green dress, and I know that, man, it seems like that dress is just perfect for you. You look good in the green.
It's my trademark.
Yes, it's great. Now,
everybody knows me as, the girl in green. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you sent me that one picture, the nice headshot that I can use for the What Makes You Famous podcast, but I'm looking at the header on your Sash Pageant Consulting. I want to steal that because you're holding your crown, and it has all the things you do: interview preparation, modeling, talent coaching, platform development, wardrobe consultation. I want to steal that. Can I use that?
Sure. Yeah, still right on.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to use the other headshot. I'm going to use that shot because I like it.
Yes. Put the plug in. I'm always looking for new people to add to my Sash family. And I keep saying family because I think of my clients as, people I care about, people who I want to mentor and inspire and motivate, and honestly, just be there for them, help them obtain their goals. And then I also do some career prep interviewing as well. So even if you're not interested in participating in a pageant, or if you have no interest in being in a pageant, but you need to brush up on your interview skills, or if you need to build your resume, I'm also able to do that as well, and that's sort of branched off from my consulting business.
Well, calling your clients your SASH family, it says a lot about you, Leah Catherine Hadder.
Yes,
it says
I'm
that
a
you're
people
very
person.
open. Yes.
I love everyone.
Hey, see, and I do too. I've been slapped around a lot because of it, but I hold everybody as, hey, they're all cool until they're not, until they decide to be against me. Okay. Thankfully that hasn't happened too much. I try to be nice to people, and generally if you're nice to people, they'll be nice back to you, for the most part.
Oh, yes. I always try to be, as nice as I can be. I always try to be open-minded and loving. And Dan, there are some people that you're just not going to click with. And so what you need to do is just, like you said, just be respectful. And then you can also love people from a distance.
That's good.
So I've also used that as well.
And that's another platform.
Yes, that's a whole other podcast talk. Yes.
Well, Leah K Hadder, any other last words for the people?
Sure, absolutely. I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, go ahead and check out my SaaS business page. And like I said, my favorite quote is, even if you fall flat on your face, you're still moving forward. So I would just encourage anyone out there who's listening, if you have a goal that you want to reach, if you have a dream, just go after it 100%. You're always going to have obstacles in your way, but you can overcome those obstacles and just believe in yourself and keep moving forward. And I would encourage everyone to keep listening to Dan's podcast, of course, What Makes You Famous. Check out his DJ business as well. And, of course, follow him on social media.
It's not a shameless plug if you do it. I'm so inspired now. All these things you've just told me. Thank you so much, Leah Catherine Hadder, for being a big part of the show.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you, Dan. It's been a pleasure, and I think this has been an amazing opportunity. So I'm really appreciative of your time.
Let's do this every day.
Yes.
I'll talk to you real soon.
Absolutely. All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, party people. Leah Catherine Hadder. She gave me more of a name. I know originally in the beginning of the podcast, I was calling her Leah K Hadder. And every time I said that, it seemed like she giggled, from hearing her own name. And she tried to have me shorten it down to just call me Leah. And I said, no, I want the people to know your name. And then she said, Leah Catherine. I went, oh, yeah, Leah Catherine Hadder. So now, get to know that name, and go get your SASH pageant consulting and learn how to be a beauty queen and find out more. And if you just want to, if you're curious about how the pageantry works, maybe you're not going to be in the pageants, follow her on her Instagram in particular. That's where she has those videos from time to time talking to different beauty queens from all over this country. And she's eventually going to take it out into the world. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much for listening to this installment of What Makes You Famous. I appreciate you all for listening. I appreciate it so much. And if you want to tell your story, I encourage you, give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. Well, that's it for this edition of the What Makes You Famous program. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What, the music you want. Hey guys, this is Shelly G with a fast fact. The first TV interview was made with Irish actress Peggy O'Neill in April 1930. Do you have a fast fact? Share it with us at Interactive Radio, RadioWhat.com.
Be on Radio What. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com.